What's up? All right, first and foremost, thank you for watching my videos. And also, this is the first video in a series called Unpopular Opinion. I actually have a number of unpopular opinions regarding a lot of things, and astrology is no exception. So I'm going to start with the most relevant video to this entire series and kind of an introduction to it, which is related to my Mercury, obviously. So my Mercury is in Pisces, and in astrology, we say that it is in fall and in detriment when it's in Pisces. And my unpopular opinion is that Mercury in Pisces is awesome. Like, yeah, there's some challenges with it, for sure. That's a thing. However, it is actually a superpower once you learn how to flow with it. So let's dive into what that's all about. So what is Mercury? Mercury is the messenger. That's the planet, the messenger, and it's about how we think, how we communicate. It's like our drive to think and communicate, essentially. And then the sign that it's in is going to indicate like how we go about thinking and communicating, and then the house that it's in is going to impact, like, say, like which area of life is going to be most impacted by it. For me, it's in the first house, which is, I think, a pretty good placement for Mercury, but the fact that it's in Pisces does bring some challenges. And basically, it's because it's just so different from the way most people think. So most people want their thoughts to be like fairly concrete and certainly something that they're confident about. And they really want to be able to rely on them. So as somebody with Mercury in Pisces, it's completely the opposite for me. I don't believe any of my opinions. It's like, okay, so Socrates said, oh boy, I'm going to paraphrase, I think, because now I'm not going to be able to remember exactly how he put it. The only thing I know is that I know nothing. And that's pretty much right where I am. So, like, what is knowledge anyways? It's our understanding of our experiences and the things that other people have communicated to us. In life, people use their brains, use their minds to make sense of things so they know how to interact with the world in a way that is most effective, keeps them safe. The mind is like basically there as a self-protective feature on humans, right? And it's important to have the ability to function like that. Like, you need to know how to, like, for example, you get training for your job. You need to know how to do your job. Being able to communicate with other human beings, also a nice thing in life. Being able to remember stuff from the past and know like how to utilize that memory, also important. So like I don't mean to say that the mind isn't important. It's just not as important as a lot of people make it out to be in terms of, well, a lot of people treat their thoughts as who they are. They identify with their thoughts. And most of them don't even realize they do that. But if you tell somebody something that questions whether they might be incorrect about something, they feel like they're gonna die. To them, it's like an existential threat. And I can't say I've never been this way, but as somebody with Pisces and Mercury, I'm sorry, Mercury and Pisces. Ooh. See, so this is an example of like one of the challenges of having Mercury in Pisces. Sometimes my words come out in a weird way, or sometimes like if I'm just not feeling like what I'm trying to say, like I can't even articulate something, information that I like have firmly in my brain, like it is, well, as firmly as anything's there. Some like information that's there, like I can't always reliably retrieve it. Like it's all very like flowy and squishy and like very free in there. So sometimes I tangent, and like focus is not an easy thing for me. So these are some of the challenges with Mercury and Pisces. However, the reason that a lot of people see it as a challenge is because of these things, as well as some other things. For example, I think everybody does this to some extent, but it's more noticeable in some people than in others. We say things that we think are true, but like part of us thinks it and part of us doesn't. So there's actually a little bit of like inner conflict about it. Or we say like this is what I think, and it's what we think at that moment, but it can change later, and then somebody might think that we were being dishonest. Or we give the most honest answer that we can in that moment, and people think it's like contradicting something we previously said, or like, yeah, basically like to people who are like very structured in their brains, it can look like dishonesty if you're incorrect about something, or if you contradict yourself. But to me, that kind of like openness is just a form of honesty, you know, like this is where my train of thought is headed right now, and this is where it is at this moment. And not having to take that so seriously and have it just completely written in stone is, to me, an amazing thing. And there's a lot of intuition also that comes with having Mercury in Pisces. So if you are a fan of Carl Jung, the psychologist, you will know that Carl Jung, which is one of the most, if not the most influential person in the field of psychology ever, believed in something called the collective unconscious. And you could say it's sort of like society, like everybody kind of like, you know, it's not society, that's a different thing. That's me trying to like make the idea a little bit less controversial. But you know what, we're here to like have some controversy right now. So basically the collective unconscious is this like thing that all humans are connected to and can tap into. And if you think about like scientists have looked at various like flocks of birds and schools of fish, and then like, how do they all know to change directions at the same time? And how do they know to like all go in that direction? Like it's not just at the same time, it's like the same movement. And in some cases they haven't been able to figure out like how they all know that, and it's because they're connected. And if freaking birds and fish can do that, our significantly more complex brains, obviously, like it's not super crazy to think that humans are connected to each other in a similar way, except in an even more complex way. Not super bizarre as far as I'm concerned. So personally, I think that humans are connected in just this big like telepathic field. And then there's something like the collective unconscious is even deeper than that, because in a way it transcends time. But in any case, having Mercury in Pisces means being more aware of this collective unconscious, and being more aware of like what's actually me and what's not me than a lot of people have. Because like what's our mind, what are our thoughts? You know, it's basically a reaction to our experiences. It's our conditioning. Our mind is our conditioning. It is a reaction to the world. It's not us. It's like what keeps us safe, right? And like helps us function, helps us communicate, helps us in a lot of ways. And you know, it's a pretty big deal. It's connected to our bodies through our nervous system. And oh, here's a little fun tidbit. Neuroscientists have pretty much proven, and vast majority of them are in agreement, that the movements of our body are determined unconsciously. Like there's no like conscious decision. There's only an illusion that the decision was made unconsciously. So our unconscious minds are like significantly more vast than our conscious minds, and having a little bit of awareness of that too, like well, I'm not as in charge as I think I am. Like my unconscious mind is in very large part running the show, and my mind is a whole lot of conditioning. And it impacts like which genes are being activated at any given point in time, like my physical expression of who, like how I exist in the world. My body is you know, very largely determined by this unconscious mind. And I feel like I'm getting a little bit off track here. I'm gonna reel it back in. So so basically, having Mercury in Pisces gives one the ability to intuitively connect to this collective unconscious, and come up with information that there shouldn't be any way we should have been able to come up with. And yeah, I'm not going to say that there aren't other placements that do that too. Obviously, we are all connected to the collective unconscious, so you know, other people do it too. But I think one of the benefits of having Mercury in Pisces is being more strongly aware of this connection and being able to more readily utilize this connection. So sometimes I just know things, don't know how, and you know, if I sit with it and I have like a sense of peace about it, like not necessarily I'm happy about it, because I might not be happy about it, and I might have conflicting feelings about it, because our inner worlds are super, super complex, and there's different polarized parts of us at any given point. But if I sit with it and I have like peace with it, then I know that's something that I can act on. And it's not even about like being right. It's about like, this is what I need to do right now. I would also say that having Mercury in Pisces is a very good placement for somebody to be a mystic. Now, what is a mystic? So mystics are people who understand that the only thing that we can ever really know for sure in life is our experience of the present moment. Like everything else, it's all just mental models, it's abstractions of reality. It's not reality itself, it's not the truth. All of our beliefs, like we can hold those pretty lightly and let them come and go, and you know, just experience them, and not take them so seriously, not believe that they are facts. I mean, the reality is, I don't even know if existence actually even is what I experience it to be, but I do know that I'm experiencing myself sitting on this couch right now. I don't know for sure that this couch even actually exists. Like, I don't know that my body is what I see in the mirror, or what I feel when I, you know, touch my hand, or any of that. Like, for all I know, I am a very complex daydream in some very complex being. That's a very real possibility. So, not, like, I can't ever really know anything for sure except my own experience of the present moment. And that can include my experience of remembering something, but that doesn't mean that what I'm remembering actually happened the way I remember it, or that my understanding of what happened is accurate. And in fact, my own understanding of what's happening right now isn't necessarily accurate either. Life is just infinitely vast and complex, and everything is connected to everything else. You know, it's all one big, really complicated web of cause and effect relationships that are all tied together. And you know, the human mind can comprehend just like like it's such a minuscule amount of what's out there that it like hardly even counts for anything. You know, there's so much more that we don't know, that we haven't experienced, that we can't understand than what there is, that like our own understanding it's almost meaningless, but we do need it in order to function. So I embrace it. I just, like I said, don't take it too seriously. Another thing about having Mercury in Pisces that is very, oh wow, I forgot to like silence my phone. I'm gonna do that right now. I feel like particularly scattered today, and that's another thing about having Mercury in Pisces, is that the way my brain functions is really unreliable day to day, hour to hour. Like sometimes I'm very, very sharp. Sometimes not so much. Well, in any case. So I definitely lost that train of thought. Choo choo. There it goes. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is that the mind and communication style of somebody with Mercury and Pisces, I remember what I was going to say now. It's not what people like typically think is a good way to have your mind function, because it's different, but it's not bad. Like it has some challenges, but honestly, I think every placement has challenges and every placement has benefits. There are no objectively good or objectively bad placements. It's all just mental judgments. And this is another part of having Mercury in Pisces, is understanding that, you know, and I would say this is more than just Mercury in Pisces, but I think it works well with Mercury in Pisces, is understanding that our judgments of things as good or bad, it's just some stuff we made up. Really, like all of our understanding of anything, it's just stuff we made up. There is nothing that's like objectively good or objectively bad in nature. What we do is assign value judgments to things in an attempt to meet our basic needs in life. You know, humans have these like three basic drives. We have a social instinct, we have a reproductive instinct, or at least mating instinct, and we have a self-preservation instinct, you know. So trying to avoid pain, trying to stay alive, trying to meet our basic needs, trying to be accepted by the tribe, trying to pair bond with a mate, and reproduce and take care of our children. Like these are all, well, I mean, they're there for the survival of the species. They're all biological. But, you know, our brains like just try to make sense of things to like help us function in those ways. And that's great, we need that. But again, we're just making stuff up. We're just trying to understand it the best we can. And the thing that I was going to say earlier that I remember now is that basically one of the positive things about having Mercury in Pisces is being able to communicate with other people in their language. So like I have started doing video consultations with people, and they're mostly astrology focused at this point. But the reason that I'm doing that is because it's a lot easier for me to talk to one person than it is for me to talk to just like the whole world. Because I can like hone in on how that person uses language, because no two people use language the same way. No two people have the same like definitions of every single thing in their minds. And people have different ways of thinking, belief systems, and belief systems are basically languages, essentially, in large part, and ways of understanding the world. And there are some other placements I have, like my midheaven is in Sagittarius at 0 degrees. So like some of that is relative as well. But in any case, yeah, when I talk to another person, I can speak to them in their language. I can use their verbiage, their understanding of how stuff works, and communicate an idea in a very different way with them than I would with somebody else. And when I'm not talking to like any one person in particular, then I tend to get a lot more rambly, because things are like flowy in my brain, and like I don't have anything to like hone in on, and like, okay, this is how we're flowing. Like I can flow with how another person communicates, but like it's nice to have something to flow with, so when it's just me and my camera, it's not quite as easy as when I'm talking to another person in particular, but that's fine. I like to do both. And let's see here, is there anything else with Mercury in that is relevant at the moment? I can always just do another video later. Feel free to leave your comments in the description. Oh, okay, the reason that I'm talking about this right now is because I'm about to start this series of unpopular opinions and like controversial subjects about astrology. And the point of what I'm saying is that I don't actually believe any of this. Like there's nothing that I like 100% absolutely believe as far as any of my opinions, any statements of knowledge or whatever. Like as somebody who has Mercury in Pisces, I can absorb a whole lot of information like a sponge, especially since it's in my first. I can just like bring in all this information, and then I do have an ability to like very much simplify that information and give it to people in a way that they're going to understand it, and to make things as simple as possible. I'm always looking for like the core essence of an idea. But just because I say like, oh, I think that you should use multiple house systems and consider all of them, or like the lines between signs aren't like super concrete, that they're like they sort of blend together a little bit. Like if I say stuff like this, it doesn't mean I actually believe that. Like it's just a thought that I'm entertaining. It's just based on experiences that I have had so far, it seems like it makes sense. But I'm very open to changing my mind, and I might even like have contradictory opinions at the same time, and I can live with that. Like, because I don't take any of them that seriously. It's just an idea. It's just a thought. Right. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and go ahead and leave in the comments if you have Mercury in Pisces, if you know somebody with Mercury in Pisces, or just if you have any thoughts or whatever, tell me about it. I would like to hear. Thank you for watching.